Back in the 1960s, rock was a wild, growing beast, shaking off its clean-cut roots and charging headfirst into louder, darker, and heavier territory. The decade started with jangly guitars and teenage love songs, but by the end, a whole new sound was taking shape. From fuzz-drenched riffs to primal screams, these are 10 explosive moments that set the stage for hard rock's glorious rise. Let's go! Released in 1964, the Kinks started a revolution. That opening guitar riff sounded like something breaking loose. Yeah, you really got me now. You got me so I guess they bad. Rock music was shifting. The polished harmonies of early 60s pop were giving way to something rawer, more aggressive. And the Kinks lit the fuse. Dave Davies, just 17, literally slashed the speaker cone of his amp with a razor blade to create that fuzzy, dirty tone. The result? A sound that had never been heard on the radio before. Ray Davies' vocals were urgent and obsessive. Girl, you really got me going. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing. And clocking in at just over 2 minutes, it didn't waste time. It hit hard, hit fast, and got out, leaving you dazed and wanting more. You Really Got Me was a blueprint for hard rock, for punk, for garage bands and basements who realized you didn't need a wall of gear or complex solos to make something electric. You just needed a riff and a reason. It starts with a riff. Simple, hypnotic, unforgettable. Keith Richards wrote it in his sleep, literally. He woke up, recorded the idea on a tape machine, and fell back asleep. Then came Mick Jagger's sneer. It wasn't just a chorus, it was a rebellion. In an era when pop was still shiny and upbeat, Satisfaction was a dirty mirror held up to society. It was young people saying, "We're not buying it. We want more. We want something real." The Rolling Stones weren't trying to be lovable. They weren't trying to be the Beatles. They were loud. They were lewd. And with Satisfaction, they became dangerous, in the best way. This wasn't just a hit. This was the arrival of rock and roll as a force of attitude, identity, and unrest. And more than half a century later, that opening riff still hits like a punch in the gut. I touched your golden hair and tasted your perfume. Back in early 1967, long before psychedelic rock became a buzzword, this song was already taking us on a wild, otherworldly ride. With its eerie reversed guitar intro and swirling fuzz tones, it sounded like a dream unraveling. Or maybe a nightmare you couldn't quite shake. At a time when rock was still finding its way, this wasn't just a love song. It was a mood, a mindset, a moment in time. And musically, it broke new ground. Where the Beatles opened the door to experimentation, the Electric Prunes kicked it open with fuzz pedals and garage grit. This wasn't polished pop. It was raw and haunting. And that's exactly why it stuck. And if you were lucky enough to hear it back then, you knew something was changing in rock music. I'm not ready to face the light. I had too much to drink. From the first few seconds, it's clear this isn't just another British blues song. It starts off jangly, but then Jeff Beck enters, and everything changes. That guitar solo? A swirling, distorted, feedback-laced storm of notes that seemed to defy gravity. Something no one had really heard in a pop song before. wasn't smooth. It wasn't safe. It was restless, abstract, even dissonant, like the sound of a mind unraveling. Lyrically, Shapes of Things was anti-war, anti-conformity, and philosophical. In many ways, Shapes of Things was a bridge between the bluesy roots of the early 60s and the wild experimentalism to come. Without this song, you don't get Hendrix, you don't get Cream, you don't get Zeppelin.
Shapes of things before my eyes. Just
Sunshine of Your Love by Cream was the sound of heavy rock taking its first bold steps into the limelight. Thick, gritty, and loaded with swagger. The secret weapon? That famous opening riff. Written after Eric Clapton and Jack Bruce saw Jimi Hendrix live. It's slow, it's dirty. It grinds rather than grooves, and it announced a new kind of rock. Heavier, darker, and more blues-based than ever before.
in the sunshine of your love.
Lyrically, it's not trying to be deep or political. It's lusty, romantic, and hypnotic. But don't be fooled. Sunshine of Your Love was psychedelic blues rock with muscle. It took the rawness of the blues, the mind expansion of psychedelia, and the volume of the future, and blended it into something entirely new. From the first 3 seconds, you knew something different was happening. Purple Haze was full of feedback, wah-wah, Octavia effects, and things that until then were considered wrong in traditional guitar playing. But Hendrix? He made it sound like a message from another planet. Lyrically, it was surreal and dreamlike. A mind-bending cocktail of love, confusion, and altered states. It captured the psychedelic spirit of the late 60s without ever needing to say the word drugs.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Purple Haze was revolutionary. It smashed the idea of clean guitar tones. It married psychedelia to hard rock, and it inspired every guitar hero that came after. Without this track, there is no shred, no grunge, no alt-rock experimentation. This is where guitarists realized Purple Haze was more than a song. This wasn't the polite, suit-wearing Beatles of A Hard Day's Night. This was the Beatles unhinged, raw, chaotic, and very loud. Paul McCartney set out to write the loudest, nastiest, sweatiest rock song ever. The result? A proto-metal avalanche. Screeching guitars, relentless drumming, McCartney's vocals pushed to a scream, and a mix so messy it felt dangerous. More than just noise, Helter Skelter lit the fuse for what would become hard rock and heavy metal. So next time you hear the opening scream and that snarling riff kick in, remember, Helter Skelter had already declared war on silence. The original version by Eddie Cochran in 1958 was a rockabilly teen anthem, catchy, clever, and light on its feet.
But there ain't no cure for the summertime blues.
But Blue Cheer took that song, ran it through a wall of amplifiers, and turned it into something completely different.
No, there ain't no cure
chill for the summertime blues.
A loud, sludgy, distorted beast, full of fuzz, feedback, and ferocity. Many music historians consider this track one of the first true heavy metal recordings. Blue Cheer wasn't about subtlety, they were about volume and power. Legend has it they were so loud, they once blew out the windows of the studio during recording. They essentially invented a new language of heaviness. So, if you're tracing the origins of metal, stoner rock, or sludge, Blue Cheer proved that rock didn't just have to be rebellious, it could be relentless. At over 17 minutes long, this was no ordinary single. It was an epic, a mind trip, a sonic ritual. With its hypnotic riff, tribal drums, swirling organs, and that sprawling drum solo, it felt like a journey through the molten core of the late 60s. The song title was supposed to be In the Garden of Eden, but lead singer Doug Ingle was so drunk when he mumbled it to the drummer, "In a garden of Eden, don't you know that I'm loved?" In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida wasn't just a song, then it was a statement. That rock could be long, loud, and psychedelic as hell, without needing to explain itself. It carved out a new path where hard rock met psychedelia and refused to come back down. So, if you've never sat through the full version, do it. Turn the lights down, crank the volume up, and let the garden swallow you whole. Whole Lotta Love was a statement, a thunderclap that announced Led Zeppelin wasn't just another rock band. Released in late 1969, this track hit like a jolt to the system. That monstrous Jimmy Page riff, heavy, hypnotic, and oozing raw sexuality. Then came Robert Plant's voice. Part blues howl, part seductive snarl, echoing with a mix of lust and mysticism. It was chaotic, sensual, unpredictable, and utterly thrilling. What made Whole Lotta Love revolutionary wasn't just its heaviness. It was how Zeppelin married blues roots with avant-garde studio wizardry. This was the birth cry of hard rock, and in many ways the DNA of heavy metal. That's the Zeppelin magic. And there you have it. 10 explosive tracks from the 1960s that didn't just shape a genre, they forged the very DNA of hard rock. Each one was a statement, a challenge, and an open door to a louder, wilder future. Which one's your favorite? Drop it in the comments, and if you love rock history, hit like, subscribe, and keep it loud. I'm gonna give you every